people are not going to have longevity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And eventually the followers on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever will lose interest. That just happens. People lose interest. It's so hard to sustain the attention of an audience for a long period of time, unless you have an incredible work ethic and keep pivoting and
Mm-hmm.
reinventing and doing different things like I have,
Yeah.
from, rebranding myself to, I started my podcast 6 years ago now, way before everybody had theirs, to, um, like I'm on Clubhouse now. I was early to Clubhouse and I got a good size following there. I always try to be a few steps ahead and, doing all the acting stuff, whatever it might be. You have to do it all. Like one of my biggest role models and inspirations is Joan Rivers.
Oh yeah.
And she worked literally up until she died
Yeah.
because she loved it. And what was her secret? Two big takeaways. One, the variety of everything she did,
Mm-hmm.
from stand up to acting to writing and directing, releasing books, releasing jewelry lines for QVC, red carpet commentary, fashion commentary. I even, like, look at this. Like, I was lucky enough to work with Joan a few times. The most wonderful human being. I was on 2 episodes of her reality show that she had
Wow.
with her daughter, Melissa. And while she had a reality show with Melissa, she also had a web show that I did too called In Bed with Joan. And, she always had 5 hustles going on. That's what I try to do as well. And you need that. You need to constantly also say yes to things. So
Mm-hmm.
like every interview request that I get, I'll say yes to. Um, you know, a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do this. Like, yeah, you don't need to do it. But eventually, if you're not doing all of these things to keep your name and yourself out there, people are going to stop asking.
Yeah, for sure. Now I want to ask you, when the blog blew up and everything started, it probably shifted from the material that you were putting out to you as a person, right? And with that attention turned to you and you became kind of a celebrity in your own right based on this, what was that feeling like? Was it when people would see you on the street and people would, and when the vitriol would come your way? Because obviously what you were doing, and I'm assuming that it sounds like you did it, you started kind of, it was fun to do, you enjoyed it, you actually enjoyed celebrities, but people obviously took umbrage to it and they were, people were trying to take you down. And I imagine you also had a lot of people who were trying to use you to sort of get publicity. And maybe you had some celebrities who kind of cozied up to you that you were like, wait, these people aren't my real friends. So I imagine
Yeah.
that must have been, it's like a lot of people when they get rich, all of a sudden everyone's their best friend. So, and you're a young kid, you're still in your 20s when this was going on. So I imagine that was really difficult to deal with.
No, I loved it.
But did you have any celebrities, and you can name names or not, that sort of were like, hey, Perez, and then things changed, all of a sudden they just deserted you? Stuff like
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I talk about it in my book. Perhaps the most infamous incident that happened that's along those lines is with me and Lady Gaga. And I was really, like I said, young and naive, because back in the day when I was incredibly disliked, I thought, wow, if anybody likes me and if anybody, wants to hang out and be my friend, it's because they actually like me,
Yeah.
because it's not the cool thing to be friends with me. And then it turns out, a lot of people were just wanting things out of me. But you know what? Now that so much time has passed, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I love being used and helping people. And it's great to be able to say, you know what? Yes, so and so used me, and now they're a ginormous star. Look at that.
Yeah. What was the Lady Gaga story? Because I missed that in the book. What was the there? I think even on your
I mean,
Wikipedia, it was like something happened, but they don't detail what the thing was.
it all went down in Australia. I was filming a TV special with her, and she was jet lagged and really drunk, and then exploded after I was asking her about her boyfriend and about her song that was controversial at the time. But it wasn't even like, there weren't even bad questions. It's
Yeah.
just that just me even asking them that to her upset her, and like she stopped the interview and stormed off. And it's like, I don't take it personally now, because I look back and she's not with any of the people that she was with at the beginning of her career. She doesn't work with her old manager anymore. She doesn't work with her old stylist, her old creative director, her old choreographer. All those people are gone. Uh, and she was dealing with a lot, not just substance abuse, which she's talked about on Howard Stern and other media appearances. But in addition to dealing with drugs and alcohol, she was also dealing with being, at the time, the most famous pop star on the planet.
Yeah.
And it happened relatively quickly for her. Unlike, like, let's say Taylor Swift, who, I would say that peak Taylor Swift was her 1989 era in 2014, 2015. But by that point, Taylor had already been in the industry for close to a decade. So she had a long time of getting used to all of the attention and people talking about her. So she was already very well adjusted and handled it very well. Gaga, not so much. It's like all of a sudden your entire world changes, and how people treat you changes, and it can change people.
Absolutely.
And it often doesn't change people for the better. It often changes people for the worse.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you were doing all of this without a team. I mean, you didn't have an agent and manager in the first 5 or 6 years. You were just you were your own team, your own manager.
I had a lawyer, thankfully,
yeah,
who would look at my contracts, and it was nice. Like the deals just came to me. Like the opportunities would just come to me.
Yeah. Because I saw this documentary on Hulu called Jawline, kind of about like these young influencers that people are, they're being created by these companies that take these young kids from Nebraska that look good, and they try to, and these kids' lives seem to get ruined because they get hyped up, and the minute they don't convert, they're like, okay, bye. I thought you were going to be better than this.
I told you, that happens all the time. And like I said, the shelf life of the influencer gets shorter and shorter. And what we're already seeing is, before they're even in their late 20s, like some of these influencers that were popular when they were 16 and 17 a couple of years ago, now they're not getting as much engagement as they used to, and the brand deals aren't coming in. So a lot of, and this, it's fine. I'm not passing judgment. I mean, maybe I am, but
a little bit.
Like a lot of them now are on OnlyFans doing adult work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm an old fart and a father of 3 now. And I worry, like, OnlyFans could be like the gateway into prostitution for a lot of people.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It is.
It's I'll pay you $5,000 to have sex with me. Oh my God, $5,000? That's my rent for 2 months. I'll do that.
Yeah. Just one time. Sure. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. I think prostitution should be legal, but I don't know. It's just going back to earlier, like I'm talking to a young person again. If they are a popular influencer and they're 16 or 17, so many of them are choosing now not to go to college, which I think is a big mistake, because you can be an influencer full time and also go to college full time. Like you can do both, and you should do both, because like, let's say you're a popular influencer when you're a freshman at college. You may not be anymore by the time you're a senior, but at least you'll have your degree and you're leaving with more knowledge and something that can help you get a job.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Perez, do you, now I say you like to mentor young people and help them. Is that a professional thing you could do as a consultant, or do people come to you and reach out to you, say, hey?
Both. Yeah. I do offer my services on Cameo. So if if anybody wants me to do any career coaching or life coaching, or just a Zoom or a little personalized video greeting, all of that's available on cameo.com/Perez Hilton. But a lot of it is just really organic. Like I see a new influencer and I start following them, and then they notice that I start following them, and then they DM me. Or I'll comment on their stuff, and then they'll DM me or whatever it is. And then we just start a relationship. And a lot of musicians like reaching out to me because they know my history with musicians and they know that I have a good ear and I'm not afraid of being honest. A lot of my friends that are popular musicians still send me stuff before they release it just to like have me give my input. And I love that. I used to be a manager I've done
I was about to
everything in the
ask you if
last
you've been a
17
manager before,
years.
because it sounds like you have the mentality for sure.
Yeah, I was, and I wasted. This goes back to my regrets. I spent so much money trying to be the manager, right? Like managing musical artists. And if you think acting is cutthroat, it's easy compared to the music industry.
Oh yeah.
The music industry is the hardest profession in all of entertainment because there's only so many slots. And also, most all genres, with a few exceptions, are very ageist.
Oh yeah.
In the pop world, if you haven't made it by the time you're 25, it's real hard.
Yeah.
In country music, country is a little bit less ageist, but still, maybe like if you haven't made it in country by the time you're 35, then you're done there too. But like in acting and film and television, you could blow up at 40, depending on the project that you're in or whatever it is. And that's also why you see a lot more, nepotism actors, like the children of famous actors.
Oh God, yeah.
Because also like acting isn't as hard.
It's not. It's not. I'm an actor, so I completely agree with you. I know that's true. Yeah, you don't need a real skill. Now I do want to get to the so when things start changing for you. So around 2008, 2009, I know the Will I Am thing happened, which maybe
that happened in 2010.
2010. Okay, and is that sort of when things started shifting, or is that your spiritual awakening was tied to that after that, or is with your first child?
It did start earlier. I started in 2008 to have different thoughts. And what prompted that was me beginning my health and wellness journey. Prior to 2008, I was extremely unhealthy. I don't even know. I do know how much I weighed, but whatever.
You look good now. So what difference does it make?
Thank you. Well, I ended up losing 75 pounds. Like I was so unhealthy. And then, I found for myself, and I do believe that this is a universal truth, the healthier you are, the happier you are.
Yeah.
So as I was happier and healthier, I started having different thoughts, but I was paralyzed by fear into inaction, So I didn't make any change until 2010, when I had what Oprah describes as the universe speaking so loudly that it smacked me upside the head and it forced me to change. And I did that because I knew that who I had become in this persona of Perez Hilton is not who I really was.
Yeah.
And I had been drinking the Kool-Aid, as they said, for a few years. And I had also, for my own sanity, disassociated myself from my words and actions.
Yes.
Telling myself things like, it's just a character.
Yeah.
It's not really me. And people
You're
don't
Mario.
know the real me. Exactly. But there just came a point in 2010, it was incident after incident and the universe speaking at me and screaming at me and, telling me, you need to change. So I did. And,
was there one event in particular that you can point to?
Yes, there was one event in particular. That was in the fall of 2010. And thank God we've not seen anything like this since. But in a span of about 3 months, beginning in September and then October, November, there were at least, I don't know the exact number, but a minimum of 20 LGBTQ young people that died by suicide.
Wow.
And as a result of that, this journalist, Dan Savage, created this campaign called It Gets Better, which was really simple in concept. It was older people making videos, talking to young folks and sharing their stories or words of inspiration. And because it's my job to know everything that's going on and be plugged in, the very same day that Dan Savage launched that campaign, I must have gotten a press release or I found out about it somehow. And I was the first personality or public figure or celebrity, whatever you want to call it. I don't call myself a celebrity, but I was the first